On that cold November evening, I walked from the bus stop towards the house. It was already dark, and rain fell from the sky, then sleet. In my hands I carried bags of groceries, because of which my hands froze terribly. Yes, I'm cold as a dog myself. Finally, approaching the entrance, I put the keys to the intercom and went inside. I live in one of the sleeping areas of the city. My name is Wayne, 20 years old. I used to live in a village with my parents, but as soon as I turned 18, I thought about my future life. I moved to the city, entered the university. At first, I lived in a hostel, but I was trampled from the second year, and now I'm somehow spinning and spinning. I don't have relationships, and even a hint of them doesn't stick with me somehow with this. I went up to my floor, looking for the keys in my pockets, and at one moment I caught some terrible smell. It's like the meat is rotten somewhere. At first, I thought that it was wires from the garbage, but as soon as I went into the apartment, I immediately realized that the smell was coming from my apartment. It's strange, I thought. There was nothing to go down. I didn't cook anything, and the trash can is generally empty. As a result, I came to the conclusion that it was attracted from the hood from the neighbors. I changed, washed, and opened the windows to get the smell out. True, after about 5 minutes he closed it, because an unreal cold rose in the apartment. But fortunately the smell went away a little. Finally, I ended up in the kitchen and cooked myself a meal. After about 15 minutes I was already sitting at the table and eating my culinary masterpiece. I was sitting, eating, when suddenly there was a strange sound from a distant room, as if someone stepped loudly. I sat like that for about 10 seconds, but still got up and went to check what was there. I went around every room, but found no one and nothing. I came to the conclusion that these are just neighbors from above walking around their apartment. No wonder, the audibility in the house is strong. In general, I finished my dinner, went to the shower and went to bed by 11 o'clock. I wake up at 3 in the morning, and again this strange smell, some kind of rotten meat, rises above the bed and sniffs. I don't know where that smell comes from. I had to open the window in the room again and wrap myself in a blanket. I woke up in the morning with an alarm clock, and the cold in the apartment is unreal. I jumped out of bed, slammed the window, threw on a jacket and drove to the bathroom. I washed my face, brushed my teeth and went to the kitchen. I had breakfast, smoked, dressed and went to work. The day passed as usual. The smell was not even remembered. And before that, he did not really bother me, and all this calmness lasted until one moment. I go as usual from the bus stop to the house. It's already dark. The wind is chilling to the bone. I'm shivering from the cold. I go up to the entrance, take out the keys and, out of habit, run my eyes around my floor. As at one moment in the windows of my bedroom I noticed something. As if someone ran from one side of the bedroom to the other, I froze in place, standing and watching. Did it show up? He stood like that for about 2 minutes, eventually came to his senses and went into the entrance. And again, as soon as he approached the apartment, he immediately smelled this rotten smell. I opened the door to the apartment and this stench immediately doused my face. "Fuck, what is this?" I mumbled in a whisper and entered the apartment. He immediately opened the windows and sprayed the whole apartment with a freshener from the toilet. I searched the whole house, but I could not find the source of the smell. The smell seems to be gone. I undressed, washed my hands, and sat down to eat. Your mother. What is going on with the neighbors there? The stink is unreal, I thought. And almost simultaneously with these thoughts the doorbell rang, confused. I went out into the hallway and opened the door. Behind the threshold was my neighbor on the left, standing, looking and talking. "Wayne, sorry to bother you. There is a stench in my apartment. It stinks of some kind of rot." All the neighbors have already bypassed in a day. Nobody was missing anything. You just stayed. Can you check, please, if you have anything rotten by chance? Just an unbearable smell. Hello, Aunt Masha. Yes, I have the same problem. I searched the entire apartment and found nothing. For the second evening I come home and it stinks unrealistically. I myself thought that it was attracted by ventilation, so I'm sorry, but it's definitely not from me. I am at home only in the morning and at night. I understand you. Okay, sorry. Good evening. I closed the doors and went back to the kitchen. And as I passed the bedroom doorway, I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. As if someone crookedly ran, I froze in place. He turned his head and looked around the room. Nobody. Your mother. Completely crazy with this job. Thank God, the day after tomorrow is a day off, I thought, and walked into the kitchen. Turned on the TV in the background, and he was sitting on the phone. And now the hands on the clock were approaching 11. I spread the bed, fell under the covers, and finally relaxed. And at the moment when I was already falling asleep, somewhere between dream and reality, I clearly recognized some stirring under the bed, and there was that smell again. At that moment, I didn't really understand anything. So I blamed fatigue for everything, and after a couple of seconds I fell into a dream. Woke up in the morning with the sound of an alarm clock. This stench hit my nose instantly. I closed my nose, jumped out of bed and opened the window, woke up instantly. I sprayed the whole apartment with the same air freshener and went to the bathroom. I stand, brush my teeth and think, this is already something different. What the hell is this stink for the third day? Probably something with the ventilation shaft. Will have to call the master, I thought, and just like hundreds of other cases, I put it off until later. What followed was a normal morning. All day I was haunted by anxiety. What was it at night? I definitely heard something strange. As a result, in the evening he laughed at himself and took it all for a dream. But as it turned out, literally the next day, it was not a dream at all. I returned home later than usual, at 10 o'clock. I went into the entrance and immediately smelled the smell of rot. If earlier it stank only on the approach to the apartment, now it stinks on the entire entrance. With my nose closed, I went up to my floor, opened the door to the apartment, and inside it was just 10. The stench is unreal. Having done everything according to the usual scheme, opening the window and spraying the apartment with fresh air, I sat down in the bedroom. I look, and there are some footprints on the floor, and they go from somewhere in the corridor towards the bed. Here I was frightened in earnest. I sit all shaking. As a result, I found an explanation in myself that in the morning I washed myself, but there were wet traces left. Only now it dawned on me that the traces should have dried, but then I somehow didn't think about it. The smell soon somehow faded, and I was finally able to have dinner. Tomorrow is Saturday. Thank God, the mood somehow lifted. I had dinner, lay down on the sofa in the hall, and stuck to the tally, then to the phone, and somehow it so happened that I fell asleep right there. I woke up at 2 in the morning. At first, I did not understand what was wrong, but then I more or less recovered, and I see the TV does not work. I didn't turn it off. That's for sure. Maybe there is no electricity. I flipped the light switch. No, there is light. It's strange somehow, and literally simultaneously with this action from the far room, from the bedroom, there was a sound, as if someone stepped awkwardly. After that, another step, and then another. I think I even stopped breathing for a while. I sit, listen, wait for something, then a floorboard creaked in the hallway, and only then did I smell that damned smell of rot. From the corridor came some groans, champing. At one point, laughter was heard from the hallway, strange, like some kind of psychopath is laughing. What happened next? I don't remember. Along the way, I passed out. woke up in the morning. The rays of the sun illuminated the apartment. The TV still did not work. The lamp burned dimly. I flipped the switch and got up from the couch. I went around the whole apartment. I didn't find anything, as if nothing had happened. Only the smell haunted me. I was sure that what happened at night was not a dream, if only because the TV did not work and the lamp was on. After washing up, having breakfast, I smoked and grabbed the phone in my hands. Somehow, I found a friend's number and pressed the call. "Hello, Eric. Hi, are you home?" "Yes, hello, at home. Just got up. Listen, can I come to you in the evening? Have a drink, sit down." "Oh, Wayne, no way. My parents came to me. Let's better I'll come to you. I'll take a beer, a prefix. And at night, maybe we'll drive to the club. Well, come on, I'm going to leave. I'll pick you up. Come on until the evening." I didn't want to be in the apartment at all, but I won't be alone. At least that way, all morning I walked around as if with an all in my ass. And after dinner I got ready and went out into the street. I spent half a day on the street, had lunch in a poppy, and the rest of the time I just wandered around the city because I could not be at home. An incomprehensible fear sounded the alarm, screaming that something was wrong there. I wandered like this until 5 in the evening, until Eric called and said that he would soon drive up. I returned home, met him at the house, and we entered the entrance. "Ugh, did someone die here?" Eric immediately asked. "Yes, hell knows. This smell has been standing for almost a week. I ventilate the apartment. It seems to help." A couple of minutes later we entered the apartment. There was no such smell, because I had not closed the window since morning. The evening went well. We drank beer, cut ourselves into a curling iron. We didn't go to the club. We sat at the screen until 2 in the morning, and after that, pretty drunk, we went to bed. Eric lay down in the bedroom, and I lay down in the hall. At that moment, this incomprehensible fear was gone. I found an explanation for all this and just laughed at myself, saying that I was a 20-year-old fool. I was afraid of some kind of crap. TV most likely turned off sleepy, and these sounds from the corridor were only the fruit of my veil of dreams. How wrong I was. Even this morning I had to run from this apartment anywhere, but I did not listen to my gut. I fell asleep quickly. The hops made themselves felt, but slept for 2 hours maximum. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Eric woke me up. With 5-ruble eyes he looks at me and says, "Wayne, let's go smoke." I looked down for a few seconds and answered him, "Let's go." I got out of bed and went to the balcony, but then Eric says, "They say no, let's go to the entrance." I stood and did not understand anything, took a cigarette out of the pack, and we left the apartment. I lit a cigarette. I stand smoking and I ask him, "Eric, why didn't you want to be on the balcony?" He mumbled something and then gave it to me. Yes, I woke up from some sounds, as if from under the bed. I took the phone in my hands, looked at what time it was, and I was already drunk. I didn't hold my hands, and I dropped the phone right on the floor. I bent down to pick it up, and I see someone under the bed. At first, I thought it seemed. I lit it up with my phone, and there really is someone lying, decomposing. The stench from him is terrible, all in boils, in corpse spots, and worms swarming in him. I swear to you, Wayne, what is it? I was shaking. Eric was telling it so convincingly that I couldn't help but believe him. As soon as we finished smoking, the smell hit our noses, the smell of rot. We stood like that for about 10 minutes until we realized that we had to go anywhere. The main thing was not to stay here. It's cold outside. You should at least take a jacket. After a couple of minutes, we made up our minds and opened the doors. And the hangar with jackets was on the other side of the corridor, directly opposite the bedroom. I quietly walked down the corridor, looked into the bedroom and saw something crawling out from under the bed, vile, like a corpse. The stench erupted in a new wave. 10 seconds later it rose to its feet. It was tall, to the ceiling, in some kind of dark, tattered dress, thin arms, bones sticking out of the elbows, knees bent in the other direction, greasy, tangled hair in some places they opened bald, patches, even though it was dark in the apartment. But I could notice that something was swarming in some parts of the body. Apparently they were worms. The face was distorted, as if struck by some kind of disease. The mouth was open so wide that it seemed it will break. It made some sounds, either a wheeze or a groan, and at one moment it moved towards me. The movements were abrupt and sharp. Each step was accompanied by a crunch. Probably it was the bones. I stood still and did not could move, but when it was already near, I gained control over the body, automatically grabbed at jackets and ran to the exit. When we ran out of the apartment, this corpse tore off half of the sleeve from Eric's jacket. We slammed the door of the apartment and rushed down. A minute later ran out of the entrance and pulled it wherever they look. Then everything is in a fog. With the onset of the day I took all my things, took a vacation from work, took bus tickets and went to the village to my parents. Lived there for a week, then again left for the city without explaining anything. He moved out of the apartment, rented another one closer to the city center, of course, to get up earlier for work, but it's okay. Recently I noticed gray hair on my temple. I have nightmares every night, and now, almost a month has passed. Little by little got better. I don't know where this nonsense came from in my apartment, how it ended up under the bed. All this time the smell came from my apartment. I slept next to the corpse, and just a couple of days ago it happened that I didn't sleep for the second day. Erica, my friend, was found dead in his apartment. He was lying under the bed and already began to rot.